for ghee. Before you place that ghee on the market, you must get a Q mark. How do you get a Q mark? Through certification. The process of certification that Ronald will talk about in detail after me. But essentially, you apply for the mark to UNBS. Ronald will tell us how. It has been made very easy. The certification people come and engage you. They have the standard. So they check, they have a checklist. Is your place clean? The standard requires that the label is like this, like this. This information must be on the label, name of manufacturer, what is in the product, when does the product expire. All that is written in the standard. So that is what the people from certification use. They look at your process, they take samples from your process, do the test to check that the product meets the specification in the standard. When they are happy that your process is able to consistently come out with a product that meets the standard, you are given a permit to use the Q mark. The permit, the duration is 1 year. The duration is 1 year. We are trying to change it to longer. So once you get that permit, you are allowed to place this mark on your product. What is the advantage of having this mark on your product? One, you give me the consumer confidence that if I take this product, it is safe for me. So if the Chamber of Commerce and Industry had given me water here that didn't have the Q mark, I would not open it to drink because I have no confidence that it is safe. But it has the Q mark, so it gives me the confidence that this product has been checked, the process has been checked by Ronald and his team, and the water is safe. Therefore, I can now drink it. If we didn't have this mark, I would not have even opened it. That is number one. But more importantly, this mark opens up markets to you as a manufacturer. And how does it do this? Within the ESC, the 6 ESC countries, because now we have South Sudan, and very soon we are getting DRC on board. They have applied to be part of the ESC. Within the ESC, we have sat down and agreed that any product that has this quality mark of the various partner states, because the Kenya have a KEBS mark, Tanzania has a TBS mark, Rwanda has a Rwanda Bureau of Standards mark, Burundi Bureau of Standards mark. So within the ESC, we have sat down in Arusha and agreed in each country where a product has been certified, gotten a certification permit and has this mark. If this product is moving from one country to the next country, there should be free market access. They should not stop that product at the border and say, we need to test to check that it meets the Kenya standard. No, free market access. You should be able to access the market. And we get confidence in this by every year, we do what we call peer assessments. There's a team that visits each country to assess, analyze the processes of obtaining the Q mark for that country, that it is aligned to the international standards and best practice. So that gives us the confidence that when a product comes from Kenya, with the Kenya Bureau of Standards mark, it is safe. Because we have been there, we have analyzed their certification process, and it more or less mirrors what we do this site, follows the same principles. Now, this is what the Q mark does for you. It gives you confidence as a consumer. It opens up markets. Now we are going to the Africa Free Trade Area. That is going to open up the entire Africa. We have already started discussing about this issue of recognizing marks so that you are able now to export your water to Egypt, to Ghana, to Botswana, because you have agreed as a continental free trade area on certain basics in order to open markets. So that is the power of standards and getting the Q mark. Now, standards also related to this. It promotes the competitiveness of products. But I can tell you also that the market access is going to expand outside of Africa, because we already have discussions on a bilateral basis, country to country, Uganda, China, Uganda, EU, that opens up all those countries in the EU, Uganda, Brazil, for mutual recognition of such marks. Those are called mutual recognition agreements. So that we recognize theirs, they recognize ours. So that market access now goes much further than the Africa arena. So that is the beauty and the importance about standards. I could go on and on and on, but I think it is best that we give ample time to the questions to come in, and also for my colleagues to be able to talk about certification, MSMEs, etc. But there's one important thing related to standards that I feel I should share with you, and this is how we plan what standards we develop. Because it's important, especially for a government entity like ours, that relies on government funding that comes on an annual basis, dispersed quarterly, that we plan adequately. My calculation is that it costs 6.25 million shillings to develop one standard. 6.25 million shillings to develop one standard. Now, of course, we don't charge that amount when we are selling the standards, because we are a government entity, and therefore government subsidizes probably 99.975%. Because I can tell you, on average, when we are selling the standards are sold on average about 40,000 shillings. So 40,000 versus 6,250,000. You can do the calculation to get the percentage, 0.00 something percent. But that is because we're a government entity and government subsidizes that cost. However, we need and we plan for the standards that should be developed. How do we do this? Standards are demand driven. So if there is a demand, that demand is sent to UNBS. UNBS constitutes the technical committees I told you about, which sit and develop the standards. But you cannot sit and wait for demands to come. One today, 3 tomorrow, you sit for another 4 weeks, then another one comes. Somebody calls you when they're already at the border. So we have engaged with all the stakeholders within the country and asked them, give us a prioritized list of the standards that you need. All the sectors, agriculture, engineering, chemicals, all the sectors. We have engaged them and they have told us, these are our priority standards. This is what we need to drive our sectors. This is what we need to drive our economy. But we also look at the national, the national development plan, because the national development plan is telling us where the country is focused. and it lists the products, the goods, the crops that are key in that period for the National Development Plan, which is a 5-year plan. So we derive also from there which areas we need standards to be developed, because it doesn't help for NDP3 to tell us that cocoa is a priority product, and then we do not have standards for cocoa. So we look at NDP3, we look at Vision 2040, we look at the NRM manifesto, which tells us where are the priority areas that the country is focusing on. We look at various government policies that also give that direction, and other government priorities. But most of the input comes from engaging the various stakeholders. So out of all of that, we come up with a document that details all the priority areas for standards development in 3 years, the 3-year plan. That is called the National Standardization Strategy. And that is what guides what standards UNBS processes for development. But of course, we leave about 10% for other needs that come up. You know, in planning, there's always something that comes up that is critical and wasn't considered earlier. So we leave in about 10% for those critical needs that come up from day to day. So that is how we do it in UNBS. You will allow me to end here and pass it back on to Blessing. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sure you have very many questions. We will be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that elaborate discussion on MBS. We would want, I know that we learned a lot. Personally, there's some services that I did not know that you offer. So I think our team is getting a lot from this discussion. But I know that Ronald wants to train us on how to get these marks. How do we get them? Who qualifies for them? How do we just achieve and get them? How long does it take? That's information that
This morning, my name is Ronald. We are now with Stan. Standing as a teacher. Now, I'm here to specifically talk about the SMEs. And how we can get there, because that is our dream. That's what science right here. So, as they say, if you know you have a product, analyze other matters of study, they ask what the form of that product, for example, used by the users. Yeah. So if you know it is there, just know you are illegally there, and anything can happen. And you know, as we struggle to read,
hello.
The next one will not do it. Do I need the microphone really? For the online people. Yes, for when we started the mandatory certification in 2018, the institution was thinking about someone in Koboko reaching Kampala for application. And then the institution decided that, we must run an online system. This online system is that wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you should be able to access UNBS services. And how does it work? That's why I wanted somewhere to write. But nonetheless, you can write. I would be a little more slower at that page. You may be a non-registered SME. You may be a registered one. You may be anything. SMEs are defined by, you can be anything, doing anything in your kitchen, in your bedroom, however wrong it may be, but you are there and you are selling this particular thing. So you register with UNBS first to say, I am here, I am doing this, I need this support from UNBS for me to comply, and this is my challenge. There is a form which is online. It is on CIMS. You can write that link. It's a link. CIMS.gov.ug/MSME/register. I am so and so, I'm located please, I need this support. If you want to be UNBS. Our method of engagement in the implementation of certification in the recent past has been two-way. One, we go through private sector associations. We go through government sector associations, ministries. We know there are enterprises, for example, organized under Ministry of Gender. We have enterprises organized under Ministry of Local Government. We have enterprises organized under Ministry of Trade, where we lie, and others. So we go through there as a group. But we also go through private sector associations like UZIA, like UMA, like UWIL, Tornado, and others. Now that helps us to reach a bigger number of people at once than just one individual person. But we're also saying, even the individual persons who don't belong in any of the organized groups, we can engage them. So when you register there, we shall get your information. And then we are able to move with you from wherever you are, either it is grass or zero to grace, where you want to get certification. Our process is non-biased and non-segregative. Whether you are rich or poor, we shall deal with you at no cost under the SME support until you comply. Now, once you have registered and we have gone with you through the processes, you are now able to apply for the CHUMAC. You are saying, I'm now ready. I have understood what you want, and I'm ready to go for certification.
But remember, you are breaking the law to put your product on the market without certification. So the faster you fast track that, the better for your enterprise to be competitive. Now, still the application for certification is online, but here you must have some specific requirements. The first requirement is that you must be a legally operating business, a legally recognized business. What do we need here? We need you to have at least a business name registration, at least, but at most company name registration with URSB. At least you are traceable with the Registration Services Bureau that I am registered there. Then 2, at least you must have a TIN number. This TIN number can be or may be for the enterprise itself or for the person owning that enterprise. So it can be a personal TIN or a company TIN. Then here we are able to know that you are able to do business with government and we are able to move with you to the certification process. But because the process is online, you must also have an email address. So if you don't have an email address, it will be harder for us to communicate with you because our communication is online. So we need that link. Of course, we know our enterprises deep down there, they may not be having these services, but we always encourage and train. And sometimes we actually open for them emails and keep track with them when they come and they don't have. So that you must be able to access your email at any time, because whatever communication we want to give you, it has to be on that email and an account you will create with us. But the only way to create an account with UNBS is that you must have an email address and a TIN number. Then we expect you to have at least a label. This label is for your product. You should not have, like for those who are making, for example, trading maize grains. Sometimes you have a bag which is just full of either maize grains or stones, and it is not marked at all. So nobody can tell what is there. So we need to know what exactly are you making, where are you? And as Mr. Andrew said, you will find that information in the product standard. If it's a standard for maize grains or yogurt or whatever, you will find the labeling requirements clearly there. What you will put there and what you will not put there. So if you have those, then we are able now to move to the requisition or application for the shoe mark. So once you have applied for the shoe mark, we ask you, we first of all get your application and review it. See whether you have put in the right information to get information on what you are doing there. Then we shall communicate to you that your application has been accepted. So you are requested to pay some little money, some little subsidized money. And what is this money at this stage? You will pay for all that is required for certification after your application has been received. And it will vary from product to product on testing, but also vary in 2 categories. That certification fees for micro and small enterprises up to a tune of, which is according to international definition, defined up to 100 million investment capital or no turnover, you will pay 500,000. And the others will pay 1 million. Initially, the SMEs were the small ones, micro and small, were paying about 850,000. But it has been reduced from there up to 500,000 for the purposes of enabling the SMEs to put their product on the market. First of all, comply and put their products on the market. Then for the others, it has been 1.3 million. So it has been reduced from 1.3 to 1 million. So ideally, there should be no excuse why we should still be crying. Although our president said that the certification fees is still too high, I do not think that she was aware of the reduction. Because if she was, and really I'm an enterprise, however small I may be, and I'm seriously in business, 500 should not be a big money to stop me from getting certification. I will tell you that some of you, I can look at your hair, it is worth 600,000. So that is certification plus testing. So you can just forfeit at least one, and you change every week. So you can forfeit 1 week and do the other one. However, you may cut it like mine and then you move. Then the next time it will grow and you are able to catch up. But this is the sacrifice SMEs must make to have their product certified. And once you are certified, there is no regret, as Mr. Andrew said, that you know, you will have market growth more than what you expect. Now, what else do we look at? You have legally complied, you have applied. Then we send a team, you have paid the money, that little money. So we shall send a team to come to you. What will the team be looking at? As Andrew said, we shall have a checklist that will guide us to compliance levels. The checklist will look at the specific standard requirements, which will include packaging, labeling, and how you have presented your product. It will also include how you are handling the entire process from raw material through to processing up to final product. This is what we call the manufacturing practice and the hygiene practice. Some of you who are in, madam, you're in production? You're in production? You're in production? Yours is export and service. You're in production? You're in production? Of course not. I know you. You are in production? Which product? Bees. That is honey. And the other products. You're in production? Which product? Fish. Very critical products. You're in production? Hey, what is happening? Anyway, whichever production or whichever product you are dealing in with, you must handle it with care in a very hygienic environment, and you must create some consistent practices. What are these consistent practices? That you see, when I'm dealing in honey, for example, or fish, for example, or avocado for export, I may not be necessarily be the one producing the raw materials. I may be outsourcing. But when I am outsourcing, do I have a specific criteria for access? Have a although you are crying, you are SMEs and you don't have, you will for you are, and there is someone who is working on that day when you are away. That person should do exactly the same thing that you should do when you are there. So there should be guidance at that stage. Are we together? For example, if the avocado type you are buying is a specific one, X, and you have not documented the specifications or the requirements, or maybe the honeycombs you are buying, they are also X or Y, and the specifications are not documented. It's something different. And when you come back, you find they have accepted honeycombs which are burnt, so meaning there is smoke inside. You find they have accepted avocados which are of different species, and maybe they will rot before they reach, and so on and so forth. So that is the first control. So we need to see that, at least that it is in control and it is consistently being implemented. Then from there, we go to the processing, the different processes. For example, the honeycombs, I know you will I don't know how you squeeze. You will mix and then squeeze and so on, isn't it? Now, that machine which mixes and squeezes, which squeezes that one, how do you clean it? And how is it food grade material or not? If it is not, is it going to affect the product, which was rather good, and then gets contaminated in the process? I think you are getting the idea. So you should be able to tell a story. This story must come from the garden, where you actually get your raw material. If you are doing avocado and you pack them in packages which are weak, that they will give way or it will create heat and they will actually ripen before they reach and or get rotten and so on, or they will be burnt by that particular packaging, then we need to see that. And in the case, somehow you are producing and something failed in the process, you should be able to show us that, you see, this is how I handle what it does not conform. It came when it was good, but in the process, it did not go well, so it failed. Maybe power went off as I was mixing or I was processing, maybe if it's milk or whatever, and I could not proceed with it. So I will downgrade it either to an animal product or I will dispose it off as a reject. If it can be reworked on, then you tell us how you rework on to ensure that you will comply with the standard requirements, because ultimately we are doing this to meet the standard requirements the other side. Are on the same page? Then we shall look at the packaging. We shall interrogate your packaging. Some of you like to declare this is organic. Organic honey, organic avocado. I don't know what it means to be organic. Can someone tell me? For you are putting the word organic there. Can you tell me? Maybe you can or you may not. It is not a discussion that we are intending to go deep in, but you need to know what exactly your product is. And for you to know, you need to do some simple research. Some of you will say our expiry date, and why can't it be possible? Because of probably the handling, probably the packaging, and so on and so forth. But if you are working from your home, or space for production, we expect that the expiry will be less than what is supposed to be under normal circumstances. Because why? The handling is actually compromised. Are we together? But that particular period must then I said, why? It is here. Me, I have been taking it for the So no one has a reason why either it expires for 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, and so on. But tests can be, laboratory tests can be done and expire time determined through simulation processes. But again, we can do it manually. You make production batches, and you continue monitoring. It is worth doing so that you are able to know. Rather than giving your consumers wrong information about expiry, you rather invest in, and that is normally done at product development stage. We also know most of the enterprises here don't have product development stage. We just start. You are moving in the streets of Arua, you see someone doing something, you come to Kabale and you are doing the same. Although you don't know what exactly they are mixing or how, but you just do the same because you think the other man has clients. So we need to invest a little more in finding out about our product. Hygiene, that is the code of practice for hygiene in food and drink manufacturing. That is the Bible, I would say, is the constitution of all food manufacturing practices, enterprises, because it will tell you the do's and the don'ts. But standards should not be used to stifle innovation. It can tell you do this, but you can do it better. You can innovate another way of doing it better. So when we come to evaluate, we see how you have done it and how the standard requires it, and then we see whether the product passes or it does not. So it is not like it will dictate that you must use A or B or C, but it will tell you it must be conforming to this requirement. Are we together? And the standards will not tell you that, you see, since I'm producing yogurt, this is how I do. No, it will only give you specific requirements that you must meet within the yogurt manufacturing. But now the technology and the other practices are allowed. It is an allowable thing that you need to juggle around. You can improve, you can maintain what is required. Remember, standards, as they are national standards, they just set the minimum requirements of quality, mainly safety requirements. But quality can be actually improved much more. So when you hear and see that I am certified, my product has a 2 mark, but a customer X has refused my product, probably his or her quality requirement is over and above what is required here. But your product is just safe and meets the standard requirements. Put it together. So standards allow you flexibility to maintain what is required by law and also to do better. So we evaluate all that process. And then we test the product. When we come to audit you, we test the product using your available test methods. Because if you tell us you are making juice, and in juice we want to see how much bricks you have or how much water you have, we have to test using your what? Your equipment. So at least you must have some small mini lab, something small that can be able to tell your client or to tell you about your product. Rather than saying, I get water and mix and move, you tell us what is this that you mix, what is there. You should be able to tell something about your product. Then after that, we can say, now we have used your lab, your small mean equipment, which may not test for other things. Let us now carry the sample, take it to an independent lab, the UNBS lab, which is accredited. And then we are able to test a little further than what we tested at your facility. Remember, this sample is being handled in an internationally accepted procedure, and there is no bias in the system, so we expect to get unbiased results. Now, if we have not tested, for example, for aflatoxin in your maize or in your fra at your place because you don't have capacity, then the independent lab UNBS should be able to tell us. And if we find it has failed there, should not say, I think it was malice. Because when your sample goes to the lab of UNBS or any other recognized lab, it is not tagged to your name. It is handled in an internationally accepted sample handling procedure that even if I am the testing person biased about your product, your company, I will not know which company it is I'm testing for. So I will test a blank sample and give results as they are. So this calls for you to do good on your side. Should not say that, I know someone in the lab and they will go and I will talk to them and they will try to, that will not work. And remember, you are cheating yourself. Because if you think of that, supposing you are exporting to the US, you have got a market in the US and it reaches there, it has to be tested. I know of a company in 2009, it exported to the US, and when they reached there, they had to first test. And actually they failed there. About 15 tons were requested to be brought back. Either, not even back, but to be destroyed from there because they are not supposed to be consumed They don't know if they come back, they can be consumed and they are dangerous to the consumers. So you have to incur the cost of transportation. You have to incur the charges of putting that unsafe product there. Then you also have to incur the charges of destruction. Remember, you have put in production costs here. You have both raw materials. You see, if you are an SME and you are not serious about quality, you see how you get out of market? So you will think that the standards and implementation to compliance is for UNBS. No. By the way, UNBS, I would say, we have done all we have done for purposes of enhancing your competitiveness there. But for us, before UNBS does that, what have you done for yourself? It's something you need to ask yourself. So we do gap analysis. We may come and help you on gap analysis, mentorship, training, offsite and onsite, product development, and testing. And all these are aimed at ensuring that you have clear understanding of your product and you are able to put a safe product on the market. And all of these, we do them at free cost. Are we together? Now, once you have complied with what I have talked about up there, your product has been tested in the lab and it is passing and you are clean and your handling is okay, then of course you get the what? The CHU mark. For your own information, UNBS does not need the CHU mark. It is yours. So if you don't look for it, we have nowhere to put it. But the only thing we can do is actually to tell our enforcement team and our legal departments to actually follow you up, because you have a product on the market which does not have the CHU mark, which you don't need, and you need it. Are we together? And remember, UNBS has said, no, we know our enterprises are still struggling. Let us put a condition for helping them to getting there. So what else can UNBS do for you really? What else? It is not there. But how many people are certified as we are here? How many people have the CHU mark on their products? How many? So how many of us are breaking the law? Yes, you are laughing and facing down. This is reality. Well, I know the reason is that's why you don't have your products here. Maybe you are fearing, or maybe you don't know how to market. But to tell you the truth, UNBS will not come from wherever they are to come and market your product. It is not possible. It's not going to happen. Even if you pray to whatever God, I don't know. It cannot. All they will do is put a conducive environment and an atmosphere for you to be able to access this and comply, then go to the market. That's why they have even gone ahead to reduce the cost of certification. Yes, even to reduce some cost of testing for some products. Subsidizing testing, really. If you take your product to be tested, maybe at, we have a scheme of recognizing laboratories, where we recognize laboratory X, Y, Z to be able to test, and the certificates of testing will be actually recognized by us in our certification processes. And any of you who has a lab which can meet that international requirement under ISO 17025, you can get certification and we are able to go. You start a business in testing. Are we together? Now, for those in construction, export, transportation, and others, we have a system certification scheme based on ISO 9001, ISO 22000, different schemes of certification under international standards. Now, if you are in transportation, for example, and you get a quality management system certification, or an integrated one, maybe quality management and environmental, you will be able to actually get the international contracts. Oil and gas is an opportunity that has come in here, but how many of us are ready for that? Yes. Yes, if you have, say you are certified with an integrated management system, that is a quality management system and environmental management system, you should be, your products are actually, your services are actually recognized internationally. even when you get, and our quality management system is accredited. It is monitored to be meeting the international requirement by SANAS, that is South African accreditation body. So if you come and you have a service, we can give you that certification and you are able to compete with these international companies which you see around here. You don't have to go far. And our costs and our charges are really very friendly. You only incur the cost of consumables, the transportation of staff, the testing, these little things that you really see, and we cost you per unit item. So it is not exaggerated. And for system certification, the certification is for 3 years, depending on which one you have gone for. And for product is 1 year. The reason why certification for product is 1 year is because of your quality culture. The enterprise quality culture is poor and boring. That when you get certification today, you'll go and sleep, you go on the honeymoon, and you spend there the whole year when they are doing whatever you don't know this side. Are we together? Until that changes, and management is actually trying to say, no, they have tried to change, but is it true you have changed? You have not. So you still need it for 1 year.
That is it for a year. I will take a bit. Available, override, and good.
Department coming from UNBS to come and sit in a tent and give you this information. You can see the sacrifice. There is so much to really do. Are we together? And once you get this information, make use of it so that tomorrow we don't repeat the same thing. Yes? I think, is there anything that is remaining? Hey, thank you very much.
before you open up for questions, we did not give you some good news. There's a small window. Is it sanitized? No. I don't know what you've been catching. Anyway, there's a small window that he should have talked about, where you can get your products on the market without the Q mark, as you are working towards getting the Q mark. And we call that pre-market approval. So you can approach UNBS, and if they see you have started the journey, but you have products that you want to get out there, you can be given pre-market approval, because you need some cash stream coming in as you improve anyhow. So there is that window, but you have to apply for it, and you must show that you are serious to some extent working towards certification. The other one is batch certification. Batch certification. So you might have a particular batch that you want to access the market, and the UNBS can give you batch certification just for what you have in the store there. Yes, so that is the small window that is important that you know, because it allows you put your products on the market before you get the Q mark.
All right, thank you so much, Andrew and Ronald. We're getting there, I guess, but there are quite a number of questions that we have. So I'm going to take 2 questions from here, but I also take some questions online. I also have some that sent in their questions on the email, so they will be able to answer those. The first question is that the marks that we're getting from UNBS, do we have to always get other marks when we're getting out? Because we as SMEs, we spend on them money that we do not have. And then when we are taking goods to Tanzania, to Rwanda, to Sudan, now we're getting into other 53 countries. Do we also have to again get different standards for their different countries, or this particular standard that we get can actually meet the standard and we are able to export? The other question is, how are we competing with the people that are on the market that UNBS has let to carry out trading or do production without any censoring? And yet, for us, we are going into the whole process of 6 months, looking at the quality, looking at the different tests, and then we are on the market and our goods are slightly expensive, but because some other person is producing something without the mark, we have to compete with them. What strategies has UNBS put in place to make sure that is handled? Then the other question is, do you go through the same system that Ronald has talked about every year? For example, if I got a Q mark for this particular year, next year I need a renewal. Do I go through now again the different tests, the different costs? Then I still have to pay that same money. It looks like if you already tested me, I know you don't trust the business people a lot, but if you've already tested me and passed my product, then there should be a simpler way of making sure that I'm maintaining my standard by maybe doing quality checks on maybe a quarterly basis and maybe monthly basis, to make sure that the time I come to renew, then in your track system, you have been able to tell that the quality has been consistent. So let me just renew their mark at that time. Then lastly, in the questions that are online and email, we will take 2 from here. The other question is, you have talked about the fact that you do individual testing. I don't know if that makes sense. If you have a product, if you have different products, all the different products will have individual testing, will have individual marks. Is there a situation where we do joint products? For example, let's assume we do maybe B products. For example, we have honey, then we have maybe something to smear, the lotion that they make, and something that is related. Is there a way that they can be joined so that maybe it comes with a subsidized way of having them tested and passed within UNBS? So we can take those, and then the people that are here, if you have a question, you can put up your hand, then we'll be able to take on some questions. Thank you. I don't know who wants to start, but Ronald.
Now, thank you very much for these wonderful questions. Starting from the last one, individual testing and certification, the law is clear. We are guided by the law. It is talking about per product, per brand. Think of this, you have 10 children in my school. Do you want to pay for only one child and the rest? Huh? Because one is in the P1, another one in the P5, another one in the P7. So you want to pay for the one in the P7, and because one is in the P7, so the other ones also comply to be in the P7? You can answer that by yourself. So that's not possible. But the law guides us that we handle each product on its own, each brand on its own. You may the biggest challenge with the SME is that you want to have a product, maybe jelly or cosmetics, but you want to have so many flavors, and the so many flavors completely are distinct from each other. They are not the same. One is yellow, another one is brown, one is green. So you cannot say the green one will represent the yellow one, isn't it? So if you want to have the so many brands and products on the market, be able to at least cater for them, because the law requires that. And when someone says, do I have to go through the same system every other year? Yes, because that's why when you come from P1 to P2, you completely start a different syllabus. Completely different syllabus. But as you go to P4, P5, the teachers, if they are consistent with you, they will see that there is actually some consistency. So after the 2 years of certification, there is what we call automatic renewal. We can automatically renew your certification, but the monitoring remains the same. You need to have paid for the testing, you need to have paid for the permits every year for you to be considered for that. And there should be consistent complying of your products to the standards for you to be thought of that. And in your processes there, they should be complying with the GMP, GHP requirements. I think, yes.
Thank you, Ronald. I'll go to the first one about the marks. Do you need to have a different mark for access to a different country? No. You get the mark once, it allows you to access all the 5 countries in the EAC, and very soon, all the countries that signed the Continental Free Trade Area after our negotiations have been undertaken, and any other mutual recognition agreements that the country concludes with other countries out there. So you don't need a different mark for a different country. The other question, how are we competing with people in the market without any permits? What are the strategies? I think I'll leave that one to Sylvia here from our PR department. We should have had somebody from the compliance directorate, but I think she was delegated the full powers to address the compliance related questions. Sylvia? I can hold your sanitizer for you.
I need to sanitize.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, and colleagues for addressing most of the questions. And of course, to Blessing and the team at Chamber for hosting us today. Yes, the issue regarding whether UNBS allows products that are not certified on the market. I want to say that our law is very clear. All products that follow under the mandatory standards are supposed to be certified by UNBS, whether they are made in Uganda or imported. And as UNBS, we have programs to address the same. We have a team we call the market surveillance team. And the market surveillance team, their main work on a daily basis is to scan the Ugandan market and looking out for products that are not complying with the requirements of the standards. And these products are actually impounded in case they are found not to comply with the respective standards. As we speak now, the team is on the ground. And I think Andrew talked about it before, that as UNBS, we have decentralized extensively, including that particular service for market surveillance. So we have a team of market surveillance officers in Mbale, Gulu, Mbarara, covering those other regions that are not necessarily within Kampala or Central. And then we have another team that is based here in Kampala to monitor the market within Kampala Business District and the nearby communities. One thing for sure is that we also have a toll-free number, 0800-133-133. And this is our contact point with members of the public. And I want to assure you members that as UNBS, we usually get feedback from you members of the public. In case you have any information about, it could be your neighbor, it can be someone within your surrounding or the environment whom you suspect to be manufacturing products, and he has not been monitored by my colleagues here, Ronald, and the certification team. So what you do, you ring UNBS, and when you ring, we record that complaint, and we shall be able to dispatch a team to come to that particular place and get the products. And then we shall have them tested at the UNBS laboratories. And in case they do not confirm, we actually have, we work closely with Uganda Police, and we have a CID officers stationed at UNBS offices to take on these cases. And we've also been accorded a lot of attention by government of Uganda. We have a standards and utility court that actually handle cases related to standards and compliance issues in the market. So it's a faster process than going through the other main section of the court. And when we, I think I also wanted to speak about import inspection. We know for sure that we have so many products coming in from outside Uganda, and we have a team situated at entry points that are supposed to assess and inspect these products as they come in. So after you've been assessed for taxes by the URA, the next man and woman at your disposal is the UNBS officer. And we also have a program we call PIVOC. You must have heard about it. And this is supposed to help us address the issue of inspection in line with the relevant standards from the country of export. So whoever is involved in importing products or exporting products into the Ugandan market is supposed to undergo through the PIVOC program. We have agents that we've contracted to this work on our behalf, and we actually monitor these agents regularly. And this covers all products that fall under the mandatory standards requirements. And as I think Andrew talked about it earlier, when we say compulsory standards, we are speaking about those products that directly affect people's health and safety. So those are products that we cannot compromise, that we cannot leave you to operate the way you desire. So you're required by law to comply to the Ugandan relevant standards. So that is what I wanted to make clear, and also to give you our assurances as UNBS that yes, we are on this, but we also count on your support, both as the business community, because if you've invested in money and time, including infrastructure to get the UNBS quality mark, our desire is with the Uganda Revenue Authority, and we shall be able to finalize a process where you can scan and be able to prove whether a particular product has been given a genuine UNBS mark or not. This is work in progress, but so far, the other things that I've explained to you apply.
Hi, my question goes to Mr. Otieno. You talked about people having different standards of certification or needs. For example, you talked about people having different standards of certification or needs. For example, you say that there are some standard certifications that you give or a product can have. What do you do about it? For example, the Muslim community, do you do the halal?
I'll quickly answer that. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, we do have halal standards now in place. So don't feel afraid as a Muslim to look for that. We're also working with the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. We have drafted an MOU with them. We are going to train them so that they may train in that sector, the halal requirements, because they are quite specific and elaborate. But yes, we have halal standards that we are developing as UNBS. The question about products on the market, in the same marketplace that do not have the Q mark, competing with those ones that have the Q mark and have gone through the process and have paid a lot of money is a very critical one. And it is real. And as Sylvia said, the number of interventions that are being developed. The market surveillance team, they should have been here, should have been able to share with you in detail the interventions that they are bringing on board. They're a small team, and therefore they cannot be everywhere because we have shops everywhere. I think Uganda has the highest per capita number of shops per square meter. If you go to Kenya, you don't find this. You know, where everyone has a shop. So we can't be everywhere. And the way they operate is they have planned market surveillance based on risk profiles, where they say in this quarter, we shall be looking at the mattress sector. In the next quarter, we shall be looking at juices, waters, iron bars, cement. The products are so many. So they have their planned interventions that they must undertake as per the plan. But a lot of their work is also reaction. They get a call from Kawempe saying someone is making bread in a garage and it's very dirty, dogs sleep in the garage. And so they must be able to respond to such. And so to encourage such information to come to the UNBS, we recently passed a whistleblowers policy to encourage more, open up and tell UNBS where the problems are, because it is the community that is out there that knows where the problems are. The surveillance team doesn't have more than 30 inspectors, and the towns in Uganda are more than 800. So the 30 inspectors cannot be everywhere all the time. So that is why we rely on the community out there to red flag problem areas. And to support this, we have developed a whistleblowers policy where we shall actually, when implemented, we shall be paying people for credible intelligence. You tell us there's an entity here that is mixing cosmetics. Probably they are getting Carolite from Eastern DRC. Carolite is banned. If you are using Carolite, please, it is banned, it's not allowed. There were people who were found in Bukasa taking Carolite out of the Carolite containers and repackaging in a different container with a different brand name. They even forged the UNBS Q mark. So the ladies now were buying Carolite, but they didn't know. And then when people who are 20, 22 start getting cancer and dying, we start wondering. Long time ago, people that young used not to die of cancer. But now, every one of us knows someone who has died of cancer at a very young age. So those are the challenges. And to help the situation, as Sylvia had said, there will soon be a solution where any product on the market with the Q mark, because this is easy to make at NASA Road. If you go to NASA Road, they will make you this, and you place on your market and on your product and put it on the market. So how does the consumer know it's not from NASA Road? How does the market surveillance officer going around know that it is not from NASA Road? He doesn't know. So the way forward is to digitize this mark so that it can have information encoded in it that mere photocopying with a very good color photocopier cannot transfer that encoded information. So that the consumer using their smartphone in the supermarket, you just scan and it tells you good. And also gives you information when it was certified, when the certification runs out, who is the producer. If you don't have a smartphone, it will have a specific number, an alphanumeric number. So you just send an SMS to the UNBS short code 6060. So you enter the number that is here, and then it returns to you an instant message telling you this one is good or it is not good. So that is something that is going to come, and it is for the future, as Sylvia had said. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I know we have very many questions, so I know that the team from UNBS is going to stick around physically for people that are here so that they're able to take as many questions as possible. We are running short of time. We have the ED for the Bureau. He is online and he would like to say a few things. So I'm going to take, please, if I give you the microphone, let's try to make our questions very, very short. Straight to the point. There's a question that has come in online from Sally. Sally says that if he he has very many products. Is it mandatory for him to apply for certification for all the products at once, or he can be given a chance to do them in phases because he cannot manage to do them at a go? That's the first question. So I will have a question from Bob, from the gentleman behind, the one in blue, and you, please, 1 second, I think.
Thank you, Blessing. My name is Bob Kabango. I'm here on behalf of Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, and we appreciate the support that UNBS is giving us. My question one is, while the payment, the fees have been reduced from 80 to 800 to 50, which I think is great progress, you realize that it's still something that is a bit hard for some of our micro entrepreneurs. You find that, for example, if I'm to use my brother who is into honey, they have a working capital of about 1 million shillings or 1.5 million. So if someone is to remove 500,000 shillings to pay to UNBS, that will also strain the business. My question is there a possibility of, for example, UNBS enabling that brother who is into honey to maybe pay in installments? Probably pay 200,000 for the start, and they start the operation, they start the process, then the other one can come in later. Because at the end of the day, it only won't be 500, but more. My question is also regarding the BAT certification. Again, I'll use my brother's example. If he doesn't have the UNBS certificate Q, but maybe has produced about 5 tons of honey and wants to export it to Rwanda, maybe has got an opportunity. Can they be able to get a certification for the 5 tons which he's going to export to Rwanda under the batch certification window? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam. I'm called Mwindo David. I'm dealing with the honey products from Kasese district. My first question, only one. Okay, my one question, among the requirements or the conditions that you put for somebody to be certified, you talked about a TIN number. Now, assuming that I'm already a government employee, I already have a TIN. Can it work for my business, or I still need more to?
Okay.
Matoviane Ngoma, Ngamba Consultants and Fronasa. My question to UNBS is one. Most of us, because through trainings, we know that products from outside are better than locally made here. What is the role of UNBS to change the mindset of our people to buy most products locally made here than stigmatizing those products from here? And most of them, they don't want to buy products from here. They only convinced to buy products from outside, the imports. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Nicholas. My question is about regulations. We have had scenarios when you go to URSB for registration of trademarks, and possibly the product is sensitive, and they first ask you, has UNBS approved your trademark to deal into this product? And when you get into UNBS, the first requirement would be the legality of the registration of that product. So what's the procedure there? Do you first issue a trademark before going for UNBS, or you go for UNBS and then go for a trademark? Because I think there is a conflict of these regulatory bodies. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we will have only 2 minutes from our people to answer the question.
I start from where? The last one, UNBS does not register trademarks. Yes, but what we do is when you come and register your trademark with us in the application process for certification, we don't want you to be disturbed after we have already given it to you or your brand or whatever. So we want you to first register it there, then you come here. I'll give you a scenario. I think it was 2010. We had the scenario where a company X came and registered its water brand. But this brand name was actually registered by another company. Why? And after we because we are not giving much attention to that. So after we had actually certified this, the other man comes and says, this is my brand name. So what do you think happened there? Actual certification was halted, and actually that died a natural death. Now, in that regard, our thinking as UNBS, we think they are asking you about the quality of the brand you want to register. Have you tested it before you actually say it is on the market? Then they are able to now legalize it. So the first thing is test your product, know its safety compliance, and then you are able to move. Are we together there? My brother asked of a TIN. I have a TIN. I am a government employee, and I have a company which does not have a TIN. If you, in the application, when you are filling, you put in your name, the owner of the TIN, it will be accepted to work. But of course, the assumption is that the enterprise will continue to grow after certification. So you will transit from using your personal TIN to enterprise TIN as time goes by, not a static thing. I think. Then the many products, yes, we answered this earlier. If you have many products, the law says you must have them certified before they're on the market. The advice we normally give is that start with a few you can afford. Don't put so much you don't know the quality of on the market. You are actually destroying many consumers. Put few, 2, make sure you pay for them. They will pay for the other 10. Absolutely, that is possible, and it has happened before. I think those are the only ones. There is a batch certification.
Okay. Bob from UCCI. Fees are still hard for micro. Is there a possibility for payment in instruments? Currently, it is not there, but I think there's a window for discussion because we have seen it happen in other areas where we thought it wouldn't happen. People pay taxes in installments. So I think this is an area that can be taken on, and it is good you are coming from an association. It is better that associations lead the discussions and raise these requests. So that is only fair. Batch certification, 5 tons of honey going to Rwanda, absolutely. This is one of the reasons why we introduced batch certification. So yes, it is possible. They can come, look at your 5 tons, take samples from the 5 tons. If everything is okay, they give you certification for those 5 tons you can take to Rwanda without having to wait for the entire process to go on. The last one, the mindset of the people is something we all must own and start. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives has already started with Bubu so that you change your mindset. Standards, as was discussed earlier, provide the minimum requirements. So part of what UNBS is doing is to promote those standards, both to the people who are producing the goods, but also to the consumers, to tell them once you see this Q mark, it is good for you. In order to change the mindset. I think our mindset has been tampered with based on our history, where we used to import nearly everything from Kenya before some of us were born and some of you. So it's a mindset thing that has to be changed over time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our UNBS you have given him, and it's a sort of on and on. You can send in your email using your email, the different questions that you have. You can even share them on the social media platforms, and we'll be able to pick them from there and be able to address them. this cannot end because it's a system that is in place to help us meet particular standards, but also a system that is helping us, our people safe, the consumers, because if we kill all of them, then we'll not have people to purchase our goods. It is very important for us to comply slowly but surely. I know we'll get there, but for the start, let's start. If you have anything that you're doing, production, manufacturing, please start with the little process that I've told you. Online registration is open. It is very simple. It's something that we can take on and begin the process of getting the before we already told you that our ED is online, and I do not want to let him go before he says one or two things. So I'm going to give him 2 minutes to give just a brief, maybe comment, 1 or 2 things that he would want to share with us. You are most welcome, David. I don't know if he's going to. Okay.
Yes, I'm around, Blessing. First of all, I want to thank the participants who are able to join this maiden engagement organized by Uganda National Chamber of Commerce. As you must have been aware that the Bureau is now engaging more the private sector through the associations or groups, of which Uganda National Chamber of Commerce is one. We have the engagement with the Uganda Manufacturers Association, the Kampala City Traders Association, the Uganda Small Scale Manufacturers Association, the Hernia Association, the Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association, the water sector, the alcohol sector, the foam and mattress sector. So indeed, this is our approach now, because the Bureau has re-engineered its way of doing things, that as an enforcement agency, we cannot be able to be everywhere, but you, the private sector, are everywhere. So accordingly, we are now saying that we need to focus more on self-regulation and voluntary compliance to standards by the private sector, who are actually putting the products on the market, who are importing the products into this country, so that indeed we should be partners in enforcement, but more to make sure that the private sector and the business community know that they need standards, they need quality products more than UNBS needs them, because now access to markets and competition is based on the quality of your product. It is no longer how low, how cheap you charge the price, but people are looking at the safety, they are looking at the quality, they are looking at durability, they are looking at performance. So therefore, it is in the interest of somebody manufacturing or trading in this product to make sure that he actually gets the consumer confidence and customer confidence that its products meet those parameters to fulfill the needs of the consumer. So you can basically see that it is not about UNBS, but it's about you who is manufacturing, who is dealing and selling these products, because you must attract the confidence of the market. Again, we are sending a message that we should stop thinking within the local markets. Quite often we think within our townships, within our municipalities, within our villages and districts, but the Bureau is now harmonizing standards for common applications beyond the country. We have harmonized standards for common application and facilitating trade within the East African region, meaning that when UNBS certify your product with a quality mark, it should freely trade in Kenya, in Rwanda, Tanzania, Burundi, South Sudan, without anybody again subjecting it to any quality assessment. So you can broadly see that the benefits outweigh really the costs of us voluntarily taking standards as part of our business strategy, as part of our business cost. So it should be embedded in our cost structure, so that again, we should not take standards as additional burden or extra cost. It should be part and parcel of the cost of production, because it is good for our market access. So again, we are now discussing the issue of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is a bigger market for the whole Africa. The Bureau is already engaging in how to harmonize the standards across the African continent, so that when our people trade among themselves as a continent, again, the issues of standards being a barrier to trade should not arise, because we shall be having one standard for one market. So this is the message we are sending to the private sector, to our entrepreneurs, that please begin seeing UNBS as a partner, not as a stumbling block to your businesses, because we want you to be able to access markets within and beyond. And therefore, that's our message to you. And we continue encouraging association and sectors to be able to have self-regulation, a voluntary compliance to start implementing these standards, because these standards will be more beneficial to the business in terms of market access, but also in terms of growth and foreign trade, including exports. You are aware that there is now a current exhibition going on in Dubai. They call it Dubai Expo 2021-22. Companies are going to showcase their products in Dubai to be able to attract global markets. But the issue is, when you get that market, will your product be able to sustain the market requirements? Because those market requirements are key in terms of quality and performance of the products. They are not necessarily based on the price of your product. And that's the message the Bureau is sending to you. But that said, we do acknowledge the challenges enterprises face in implementing quality standards. Reason why we have decided to subsidize some of the costs of implementing quality standards. We have reduced the cost of certification. I think you have been informed already. But we have also made it easier that even if you are not certified, you should be able still to be able to sell your product or win a tender. That's why we have brought pre-market approval. We have brought batch certification, because pre-market approval and batch certification can be awarded to you even if you have not completed the process of getting your product fully certified with a quality mark. That one, the Bureau introduced to be able to make sure that you access the market anytime if you get the opportunity. But the long sustainable approach is that you should be able to have a certification mark so that you minimize coming for batch certification for every export, for every sale, or pre-market approval when you could actually have a fully fledged certification system for sustainability. Again, working with government, local content now to be able to supply government, the issue of quality is being mainstreamed in all tenders and supplies of government. It is just last week when Office of the Prime Minister wrote to us that they are beginning to source for supplies locally, and therefore they need that one of the conditions should be that those supplies have been certified by UNBS. So you can see the opportunities now for local content being given to us, but subject to the quality of the product. And therefore we should be able to prepare to embrace implementation of quality standards so that we take advantage of these opportunities coming along to be able to access both domestic but also export market. Of course, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda is our flagship, and the Bureau is committed to supporting our local enterprises to produce quality products to substitute the imports. That's why we get strict regulation of imported products to make sure that if you are importing the product into this country, which is being produced in Uganda, you must make sure that it meets the quality of Uganda so that there is fair competition with the Ugandan-made products. So the focus is that in the long term, there should be no incentive or motivation for somebody to import a product which is already made in Uganda, because it will be very costly and possibly they will not be able to compete. So Bubu is basically in your hands. The success of import substitution and export promotion is in your hands as the private sector of our country, and the Bureau is fully behind you to make sure that we produce the quality of products that can match both our local needs, but also be able to compete internationally. So again, UNBS is available to support you and handhold you. Again, we are giving support in terms of training and advisory to private sector SMEs, including giving free standards. So please take advantage of that. And we encourage that the more you come into groups as associations, the better for us to be able to support you. That's why we encourage all of you to belong to at least an association or a sector, so that we have sector-wide or association-wide intervention to support many other than dealing with individuals. I think the issue of cost of certification has also been alluded to, that quite often if we want to certify 5 products at the same time, cumulatively the cost will be high. So I encourage you to focus on the best and start with one good one, a second one, third one, so that we do not be able to put all our innovations at once for certification, because it might be a bit cumbersome on your side. So put one product at a time, get your quality mark before you roll over to the next one, so that you can be able to mitigate the high cost of certification, which actually at unit level is cheaper. But if we aggregate to many products, then it will actually appear to be very expensive. So I thank you very much for listening and look forward to continuously engaging with you. The team has our contacts and we are available 24/7. We have also automated our systems to make it easier and faster for you. You do not need to come to the bureau to get your quality mark or certification. We are able to do this now online, and we want you to take advantage of that. I thank you very much and wish you a pleasant week and end this engagement with the fruitful road way forward, so that we have this engagement regular to be able to make sure that we mitigate and have solution to some of the challenges we have already shared. Thank you very much, and back to the team.
Thank you so much, David. The team that is here, we really want to appreciate you for, we know we've taken quite some time, but we also started a bit late. Yeah, because of the rain, and Ugandans don't keep time. Yes, but we would like to appreciate the team online for joining us. We hope that you can join us again next month on 27th. We'll still be having another sensitization webinar that is going to be hybrid. And the team that has patiently waited and learned a lot from this amazing team, we appreciate you. And we request that whatever you've learned, let me hope that you're not just keeping it in your books or somewhere you will implement. If you get any issues as you are in the process of implementing, please don't hesitate to reach on whether our mail address at chamber.u to address some of the issues. Thank you so much for keeping time, for being around, and we wish you a very, very productive period. For the team that is physically here, we're going to take a group picture. Yes, I don't know where, maybe here without branding. And then we are free to leave at our own pleasure.
What does a Chamber of Commerce do? Unfortunately, that's a very good question, because while chambers of commerce all pursue a very simple and similar goal, they pursue it through a dizzying array of activities and initiatives. Simply put, a Chamber of Commerce exists to improve business and by doing so, strengthen their community. And though every chamber pursues this in their own unique way, we've identified the following 7 points of focus for making business better. 1. Legislative advocacy. Representing the businesses that make up our chamber and community, both as a voice in critical conversations and through the collective influence of our membership body. As an advocate for business, chambers move the needle. 2. Resource access. You should feel comfortable bringing any questions about business, whether internally focused or about the community at large, to your chamber, and expect that we will help you get the answers you need. 3. Network development. If people know anything about a chamber, they know that we host numerous opportunities for business people to come together and build a network of professional relationships. By doing so, we help local business thrive. 4. Leadership development. Through focused leadership programs and volunteer opportunities, the Chamber provides education and experience for the community's next generation of leaders. 5. Economic development. Although often hidden from view, the Chamber's initiatives around retention, expansion, recruitment, workforce, and infrastructure often have the greatest potential impact for productive and lasting change. 6, marketing and advertising. Whether it's through print, online, or at live events, the Chamber offers a wide selection of choices for getting your brand in front of the audience you seek. And finally, 7, community promotions. We invite travelers to explore our community and spread the word of all the opportunities we have to offer. So what does the Chamber do? Many things, and each in the pursuit of better business for a stronger community.